What is going on, Laker fans? Thank you very much for tuning in. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. What is today? Sitting here on this Wednesday, August 23rd. Kobe Bryant would have been 45 years old today. Tomorrow was Mamba Day, August 24th. Obviously, the 8 and the 24, which I think will put us a year away from potentially Kobe getting a statue at Crypto.com Arena. I think that's what it sounds like is the plan without really not knowing any more details on that, but it sounds like that's the plan. On today's episode, I want to spend some time on a few things. So I did the radio show this morning, and a few different Kobe stuff came up. Obviously, with it being his birthday today, so I'm gonna throw some questions, some topics out there that I think are interesting from a Kobe perspective. So, greatest Laker of all time. I think it only is a conversation between three players. Favorite Kobe moment. I have these stats here, and they were putting down the signature top 10 plays of Kobe Bryant's career. I know I got my favorite Kobe moment, but I'm sure everybody's got their own. So we'll let everybody kind of weigh in on that. And then the last one is actually not a Kobe conversation. This one is a Steph Curry claiming that he's the greatest point guard of all time, and that ties to another Los Angeles Laker in Magic Johnson. We'll have that conversation of who's the greatest point guard of all time. So those are the three topics for today's show. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Had a nice conversation yesterday on YouTube with the last episode I did. So I really appreciate everybody tuning in the off season and spending some time with the channel. If you can please subscribe to the channel, would be great. It means a lot. It helps the channel out a lot. And I've said this a couple different times. Obviously I do a lot of stuff around the Lakers on radio and everything else, but this is my own personal YouTube channel. It's one of my favorite things to do. So if you can support the channel, I greatly appreciate it. Okay. Greatest Laker of all time. Is Kobe Bryant the greatest Laker of all time? And this was one of the conversations that we had earlier today. It's fun to have moments like today where it gives you a reason and excuse to talk about one of the greatest to ever do it. And Kobe's life on the basketball court and the 20 years that he gave to Laker fans and he gave to the NBA, incredible. Obviously, his tragic passing with his daughter, Gigi, and all the others that passed in that helicopter crash, still surreal, still hard to comprehend. I think for everybody out there, when you think back to the day that he passed away and you said to yourself, I'm sure everybody knows how they found out the news, what were they doing, who they were with. It's going to go down as one of those moments in life where you look back and there's certain moments where you just knew all the details. And I think the passing of Kobe and Gigi and everybody else on the helicopter, God rest their soul, is a perfect example of just a crazy moment in our life that's still hard to comprehend and believe. It allowed today, his birthday, to go back and take a look at Kobe's career. And it allowed us to have some conversations during the show that I think is always fun. And there's something that we have access to from ESPN that's just basically like stats and information. And there's all these crazy, crazy stats of what Kobe did in his career. And it's 20 years with the Los Angeles Lakers, 5-time NBA champion. I mean, literally the resume is just unbelievable. It's ridiculous. However you want to call it. 2-time finals MVP, won the MVP as well. Some of my favorite stats that nobody talks about: 12-time all-defensive selection, 9-time first-team all-defensive selection, 122 40-point games, 25 50-point games, third most behind Wilt and Jordan, 6 career 60-point games, second behind Wilt Chamberlain, obviously won a couple gold medals as well. So his resume is his resume. There's nothing really more to say about that. But one of the conversations that came up was, is Kobe the greatest Laker of all time? Let me throw some names out here that have represented the purple and gold. And I think for me, it's a short list, very, very short list of who can be in the conversation. But Wilt at one point was a Laker. Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, of course, LeBron, a stint with the Lakers as well. He's gone off to do other great things. You got Shaquille O'Neal. You got Jerry West. You got Hall of Famers like James Worthy and Jamal Wilkes and Elgin Baylor. Go down the list. These are just unbelievable names that have been a part of the Los Angeles Lakers. I think there's only three names that are even in the conversation, and I don't think we waste our time past those three names. If you're making a case for the greatest Laker of all time, Laker, not whoever's wore the purple and gold, is that the best player to ever wear? No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the greatest Laker of all time. There's really only three players that we should be having a discussion about. It's Kareem, it's Magic, and it's Kobe. That's it. And there's a reason why it's only those three players. Magic never rocked another jersey. Kobe played 20 years, never rocked another jersey. Kareem spent 14 years with the Lakers and got the 5 NBA championships and selected to 13 All-Star games. This is just him rocking the purple and gold of what he was able to accomplish. Of course, got an NBA championship as well with the Milwaukee Bucks. But those are the only three players that you can have a conversation about. I would say this, and I guess this is kind of an easy one for me. Somebody help me understand how you make an argument against Kobe as the greatest Laker ever. I think the fact that Kobe played 20 years with the Los Angeles Lakers right out the gate, that should be it's not the most important stat because you could play 20 years with a team. Okay, what did you accomplish? How much did you accomplish? Were you the best player on that team? Were you the head of the snake for championships? There's a lot more that goes into it. But at the same time, 20 years at the level that Kobe played the game, it's pretty tough to argue against. And then you could sit there and you could say, okay, well, let's make a case. Did he win enough championships to be the greatest Laker of all time? He won the same amount as Kareem and Magic. What I think makes Kobe's era with the Lakers so unique is he had two different eras. Man, this is the craziest thing ever. I don't know if you guys have seen this. I got to try to find it. And I'll try to find it and I'll put it up here. But have you guys ever seen comparing, and I'm going to type this in here, see if I can do it at the same time, comparing Kobe's 8 stats to 24. All right, I'm going to try to see if they got something up here that puts them side by side. I got it printed out, but because it's printed out, I can't exactly show it. These stats are just ridiculous. I mean, like all-time stats between the two numbers are so identical. It's actually incredibly weird how it could be that close. I'm going to pop it up here in just a second. Once I do, I'll share it on the screen here. All right, I got it right here. Let's do this. It's just it's such a trip to see this. And I'll put it up right here. Look at these stats. What the heck is this? Kobe Bryant, full comparison, number 8 versus number 24. How is it this close? I'll end up going back to what I was talking about with everything else, but I just want to at least show this for a quick second. Does somebody want to explain to me how this is this close? 16,000. You got 8 on the left side, Kobe with a 24 on the other side. 16,866, 16,717. 24 points to 26 points. 707 games played to 638. 10 seasons, 10 seasons. 3 NBA championships, 2 NBA championships. I think this one is MVP, and then one of these must be finals MVP. 10 seasons, 10 seasons. I mean, the stats are just eerie. Honestly, it's just like, it's so weird to see all these stats compared to each other. Assists, 31.48 to 31.58. Field goal percentage, 45% to 44%. I mean, for Kobe to be doing that 2 different chapters of his life, to have numbers like that is just, it's incredible. But I'm going to go back to what I was trying to say here. And I think the point ultimately that I was trying to make more than anything else was he did it with 2 different separate teams. Did it with Shaquille O'Neal. He did it with Pau Gasol. He did it as kind of the Robin to Batman. He did it as the Batman to Robin. and Powell being the Robin in that scenario. There's some stats here and something to keep in mind. Most points in Lakers history, Kobe first. Most three-point field goals, Kobe first. Steals, Kobe first. Games played, Kobe first. Assists, second. Second is the only stat that he's second in of some of these major stats. Listen, Magic was my favorite player growing up. Love his style, love his leadership, love the way he ran point, love the way I felt like he made everybody on the court better, got everyone involved. Big fan of Magic Johnson. Magic only played 12 years with the Lakers. I think that's really the only argument that hurts Magic. The only thing that hurts Magic is he had to retire too early. I mean, Magic stats, he went to 9 NBA finals in 12 years. Who knows what Magic would have been able to accomplish? Magic got an NBA championship in his rookie year. Magic was dropping 42 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists on the road against the Philadelphia 76ers to get his first championship in 1980, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar didn't play in that game, so he had to suit up at center. I got nothing but love towards Magic, nothing but love towards Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But I have a very difficult time, and I really do think ultimately at the end of the day, it's how long did you play for the organization and represent the organization? And Cole, by doing that for 20 years, was able to grab every record, was still able to get the 5 NBA championships. And like I said, it's pretty incredible what Kobe accomplished. So that was one of the things that we talked about earlier today. I thought would be a good topic for YouTube as well. Is Kobe the greatest Laker ever? And, obviously you can leave a lot of opinions up there, but I kind of tried supporting my stats and my facts with, no, I get it that if people are making the argument that Kobe's the greatest, I'm not going to argue with that. And I think the longevity and all his time with the Lakers has a lot to do with it as well. Okay, comments below. You agree with me? By the way, do you agree that the only three you can really have a conversation with is Magic, Kareem, and Kobe? I think that's it. I don't think you really have another conversation. You could say, oh, well, Jerry West, but no, we're talking about, I think Jerry, the one thing that's going to hurt him is they lost a lot in the NBA Finals. So between Kobe, Kareem, and Magic, that's 15 championships, obviously together, combining all those. So if you think Kobe's the greatest ever, put it down there. If you want to make an argument for somebody else, Magic, or make an argument for Kareem, feel free to put that down there as well. And if you got some other stuff that I left out, maybe on the Kobe front that you want to put in, that's also kind of some good information, feel free to do that as well. So part of this info that we got today, I love how they make the argument too. Do you want Kobe 8 or Kobe 24? Which version of Kobe did you like more? Now, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it was maybe because I was 16, 17 years old, something like that. But Kobe at number 8. Oof. That Kobe to me, I loved. To me, some of my favorite moments of Kobe when he was young Kobe. And it's during the Shaq and Kobe era. And it's Shaq fouling out during key games in the playoffs, and Kobe telling everybody, calm down, relax. I got it. It's all under control. And still going out there and helping the Lakers win. It just, I don't know, something about that Kobe. Maybe it's because it's nostalgic because you were younger. Young Kobe, to me, was my favorite Kobe. But I know there was a much different Kobe. Kobe 24 was a lot different. Kobe with Powell was beautiful basketball. But I go back to my childhood more when I look at, do you like number 8 Kobe or number 24 Kobe? And I mentioned just how crazy those stats were. So favorite Kobe moment. I got 2 that I'm going to talk about. Again, this is coming on the eve of Mamba Day tomorrow. And today's Kobe's birthday. He would have been 45 years old. For me, 2 distinct memories come to play. And this is an easy conversation where whatever my memories are, I'm sure there's going to be a long laundry list of everybody else having a ton of memories as well. The first one that comes to play for me. So back in 2000, when the Lakers were playing the Portland Trailblazers, and Kobe and Shaq still never won an NBA championship. So you got those 2 guys. A lot of pressure on Shaquille O'Neal. He's such a dominating center and all the other great centers that represented the Lakers, and is Shaq going to become one of those guys? I think Sports Illustrated one time had all the the great centers that rocked the purple and gold, and it's like, Shaq going to get a ring? It was kind of one of those. Lakers are down big. I want to say 16 in the fourth quarter against Portland. Maybe it's a little bit less. And this Portland Trailblazers team, this is Game 7. It's at Staples Center at the time. And everybody knows the highlight that I'm talking about. But this is a team that has Scottie Pippen, Damian Stoudemire, Greg Anthony, Arvydas Sabonis, Rasheed Wallace, Brian Grant, Jermaine O'Neal, I think, was on that team. I'm probably Bonzi Wells. Was that his name? I'm probably Detlef Shrimp, I think, was on the team. I'm probably missing some guys, but they had a squad. They had a deep squad. And the Lakers are down big in the fourth quarter, and you're just kind of looking. You're like, are you kidding me? Are Shaq and Kobe going to play 5 years together and still never get to the NBA Finals? And this is their chance and opportunity. And all you can ask for is in the Western Conference Finals, Game 7 is at your home. And when Lakers made that furious comeback, and when Kobe crossed over Scottie Pippen and threw the lob to Shaq, and Shaq dunks it. It was a cool clip. I got to find it. But Chick Hearn and Stu Lance were on the call. Bob Costas was on call, nationally televised game on NBC. But Chick and Stu were doing the game. Chick and Stu were doing the game on radio. And the reason why that's my favorite moment with Kobe is because you knew at that point Kobe and Shaq were getting their first NBA championship, that they're getting a ring, that finally this era of Lakers basketball and that combination of those two players, the monkeys off their back, it was only a matter of time. They were going to beat the Indiana Pacers. I think at that time, basically, if you won the West, you were going to win an NBA championship. And Kobe got it done. And Kobe and Shaq got it done. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Shaq was the most dominating player then. But that moment I thought was special because they both were going to get their first NBA championship. And then that was the first of 3. And that was obviously a time that just was incredible. This list that they have here, there's one other moment that I want to share. This list that they have here, they had Kobe passing Jordan for third place all-time on the scoring list. They had the 61 points at the Madison Square Garden. They had Kobe's 4 consecutive 50-point games back in 2007. They had the NBA Finals versus the Magic. The alley-oop to Shaq was number 5 on their list. They had the 62 points in 3 quarters against the Dallas Mavericks. Kobe was up 62-61 after 3 quarters, by the way. They had the 81 points versus the Raptors as number 2, and then they had Kobe's 60-point finale against the Jazz on the day that he was going to retire as the number 1 Kobe moment. The second moment for me that I think is the most important, it's on this top 10 list that, this information that I got or whatever. The second one for me is a perfect way of describing Kobe Bryant. My second favorite moment of Kobe is when Kobe tore his Achilles. And I know you're going to say, what the hell are you talking about? Why would that be one of your favorite moments? It's one of my favorite moments because I think it's what describes Kobe Bryant best. You're going to tell me that Kobe tore his Achilles, got up, walked back down to the sidelines where Gary Vitti is, asking Klay Thompson, hey, did you kick the back of my heel? Has no emotion at all, and then kind of starts realizing, yeah, this isn't good. And instead of Kobe being a wheelchair coming out for him or his teammates carrying him off or something like that, tell me and explain to me how Kobe Bryant decided, I'm going to go walk to the free throw line here real quick. I'm going to shoot my 2 free throws, and then I'm going to walk the length of the court all the way down to the tunnel and out to the locker room. If that moment does not define Kobe Bryant, I don't know what moment better defines the type of player that he was, kind of how he lived his life, how he mind over matter, however you want to describe it. So for me, those are the 2 moments that I think stick out the most. The Kobe, I mean, there's plenty of moments. He's winning the championship against the Celtics, putting up the 5, there with his family, all the other moments that I listed down here. There's plenty of Kobe moments. But those two, to me, the moment that you knew they were going to get their first championship, and then this one that Kobe just decided, yeah, I got a torn Achilles. That's okay. I'm going to play anyways. Your favorite Kobe moment, if you got one or two, or how many ever you got, feel free to put them in the comments below. Okay. Guy just walked off. He tore his Achilles. Walked off like he jammed a finger. I don't process it. I literally do not process it, but that was Kobe for you. Before I get into my final topic, quick reminder here: if you've never been to the channel, thank you for being here. If you're here often and have not subscribed, I'd greatly appreciate if you take 2 seconds to subscribe. So there's a story that came out. Sounds like a couple days ago. Steph Curry was doing the podcast with Gilbert Arenas. Gilbert Arenas has one of his podcasts. We know that there's a lot of players now that are doing podcasts, former players, everything else, and no different here. Gilbert Arenas has been doing his pod for a little while now. So he's doing a good job here. I think his podcast, Gil's Arena, had Steph Curry on. He was asked. If he's the best point guard ever. Here's his response. Yes. Then he goes on to say, it would have to be a yes. It's me and Magic. That's the conversation, ? Obviously, I have to answer it that way. I really feel like, to your point, Magic's resume is ridiculous. The fact that we're even having that conversation is a place I never thought I would be in, to your point. How you grade it and the whole conversations. That's why we have the conversations, because it's fun measuring errors against each other. I love it. And listen, I'm not, shocked here that Steph Curry is going to be under the belief that these guys are incredibly, incredibly confident about themselves, incredibly confident about their work, incredibly confident about their resume and everything else. But Steph Curry says he's the greatest point guard. And I know he's trying to put Magic in there, but he's also trying to say, I'm the greatest point guard ever. I've got a simple way of kind of answering this. By the way, I saw this during First Take. Stephen A. Smith got a text message. It was from Michael Jordan. He says, although greatest of anything is always a debate, I beg to differ on greatest point guard of all time and what you said. He's talking about, obviously, Steph Curry. Magic Johnson is easily the best point guard of all time. Steph Curry is very close, but not in front of Magic. Okay, my quick thoughts on this. I think these are always fun conversations. Why do I not even think this one's close? We were trying to have an argument earlier today, and it's, okay, well, who's had a bigger impact on the game? As in, who's trying to mimic whose game? There weren't too many kids out there who were 6'9". It could be a point guard at 6'9" who can rebound, who could pass, who can score, who can get to the basket and dunk. And I mean, Magic's resume is just ridiculous. He went to 9 finals in 12 years. What more do you want me to tell you here? Steph, I understand the impact of. He's a player that more kids can mimic and try to be like, because he can shoot from 25, 26 feet away. I mean, he's the greatest shooter of all time. But he's also not a freak of nature when it comes to his physique and his build. LeBron's a freak of nature. Magic's a freak of nature. Karl Malone was a freak of nature. Shaquille O'Neal was a freak of nature. I mean, all these guys were freaks of nature. Steph is a little bit more, he's the closest thing you could have to looking like a normal person and yet still be one of the greatest to ever do it. If you told me today that I have to pick, if I'm going to start a team, and you said you get to pick any point guard in the history of the NBA, and it's coming down between Magic and Steph, and I'm starting my team, 10 times out of 10, I'm taking Magic. 10 times out of 10, I'm taking Magic. The rebounding, the ability to dish the ball the way he used to, his leadership, 3-time Finals MVP. In the Magic and Kareem era, this isn't me belittling how important Kareem was, because he was as important as anybody out there. But Magic was typically considered the best player out there. Magic was getting the Finals MVPs. I don't want to make it a Magic versus Kareem conversation. It's not. Magic was in the era with Larry Bird. Magic was in the era with, go through it, Michael Jordan. And he was in an unbelievable era. And I guess I just go back to this. If I said, hey, greatest shooter of all time, nobody hesitates. You say Steph Curry. But if I said, hey, you're starting a franchise tomorrow, you get Magic or Steph Curry in their prime, aren't most people taking Magic Johnson? If I'm putting together um, the greatest starters of all time, and I'm putting Magic at my one, and I'm putting Jordan at my two. Okay, Bron's going to be the three. I'm just using that as an example. You're taking specific positions. At the four is going to be Tim Duncan. At five is going to be Kareem. Whatever it is. Is it Magic? That one's kind of the lock at the point guard. So Steph thinks he's the greatest point guard, which I don't blame him for thinking that. Go watch a little bit of Magic Johnson. Go see what his resume was. Go see what he accomplished. I think Steph really helped this conversation by winning that Finals MVP a couple of years ago against the Boston Celtics, a little over a year ago, and the way he kind of dismantled the Celtics and was by far the best player in that series. He really helped his resume. That was his first Finals MVP. So that one helped his argument, his conversation. I think he needed to get that under his belt. But if you said, hey, go ahead and pick, you want Steph Curry or Magic Johnson? I'm going Magic Johnson 10 times out of 10. Okay. Your thoughts below, comments below. Please subscribe to the channel. Thank you for being a part of the episode today, and looking forward to getting out some more content here soon. Laker fans, NBA fans, hope you guys have a good rest of your day.